Tell us a bit more about these charges and as they relate to the some 19,000 children that Ukraine believes have been deported.
Yes, well, Russia contests that 19,000 figure, but it does admit that it has removed children from Donbass and from orphanages elsewhere also in Kherson and Zaporizhia region, in its words, to try and take them away from active war zones. The Ukrainians have just issued an arrest warrant for apparently one Russian politician and two supposed Ukrainian collaborators on war crimes charges for having been involved in the deportation, they say, of children from an orphanage around the southern Ukrainian city of Kherson when Russia was preparing to withdraw from there back in September and October. And they say that those children aged between 1 and 4 have been removed to Russia, and some of them are impossible to track. Sergei Lavrov today in his press conference said, we have taken children away. Russia's argument is always that they are put under guardianship, not adopted, and that it is perfectly possible, the names are public, for Ukrainian families to come and get their children back if they want to. I think the reality of that is that the numbers are far more than the Russians suggest, even if they may be far less than what the Ukrainians argue, and that it actually is extremely complicated and difficult to get these children back from Russian guardianship, adoption, orphanages, holiday homes, wherever it is that they have ended up. And of course, that is why the International Criminal Court has indicted both Vladimir Putin and the Children's Rights Commissioner here, Maria Lvova-Belova, on war crimes for the supposed deportation of children.
And what else did we hear in that Sergei Lavrov press conference, Diana?
Well, we heard quite a lot, but we've heard quite a lot of that before, you know, how nobody wants to listen to the West's rules and logic anymore as Russia tries to build its multipolar world, and that the UN Security Council should be expanded. But I think some points that you might find interesting for the British viewer, one of which involves the Skripal family. Obviously, they were the victims of a Novichok attack in February 2018, March 2018. And Sergei Lavrov said that recently the Russians have asked the British government again what has happened to Yulia and Sergei Skripal, where their whereabouts are, a sort of professed concern about the well-being of Russian citizens. Another factor of interest, I think, is that in relation to Saturday's armed mutiny, Sergei Lavrov said that Russia always comes out of turmoil stronger. And he said that in relation to Wagner's operations in Africa, these were predicated on contracts between Wagner and particular African countries, and those contracts have nothing to do with the Russian state, and it's up to Wagner whether they continue. I think there have been a lot of questions of whether Wagner will be continuing its mercenary activity in various African countries, a lot of which has been done for the Kremlin's benefit. And he suggested that Russian instructors had their own dealings with governments like the Central African Republic, and that those were under the auspices of the Kremlin, but that Wagner's contracts were a separate thing altogether.
Diana, thank you very much indeed, bringing us up to speed there.